Hello, friendly alumni. Welcome back to From Here Forward, an award-winning UBC Podcast Network podcast. I'm Carol.
And I'm Jeevan. It's officially September, and at UBC, that means homecoming is upon us. Did you get the full homecoming experience when you were a UBC student, Carol?
I did not, mainly because I was a grad student, and I did not feel the need. What about you?
I think actually my first ever football game was the UBC Homecoming game in my first year of undergrad. I mean, I was a commuter student, and at that time, campus felt super intimidating, but homecoming was one of the first events that made me feel like a Thunderbird, so I definitely have fond memories.
That sounds super fun. I wish I knew what a Thunderbird chant sounded like, but you can't really help me out there. I too have heard some great stories from UBC friends who have fond HOCO memories. Speaking of which, UBC Homecoming is coming up.
And since we're an alumni podcast, we can't help but shamelessly plug all the events coming up for our alumni family. UBC Homecoming is the perfect time to come back to campus and witness the transformation that has happened since you were a student, even if you only graduated a few years ago.
Be sure to check out the Robert H. Lee Alumni Centre, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary with a party on the 20th as a part of the homecoming festivities. So, Jeevan and I thought it was fitting to revisit our old stomping grounds and take a walk down memory lane, otherwise known as Min Mall. After experiencing a homecoming of our own, we recommend heading back to campus and checking out all the fun events.
We stirred up some nostalgia, swapped stories, and chatted about all the new changes on campus since we graduated.
Speaking of changes, in the last 10 years, the campus has changed a lot.
And later, we sat down with the co-directors of UBC Campus and Community Planning, Joanne Proft and Matthew Roddis, to chat about how their team has approached making the UBC Vancouver campus a place where students, staff, and faculty can thrive.
And without further ado, let's go back to campus.
And we are live on location today. We are at the AMS Nest at none other than Blue Chip Café. How does it feel to be back?
I'm a little overstimulated, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like really loud and people are staring at us and I feel uncomfortable, but it's nice. Like, when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2022. BA Sociology, high distinction. When did you graduate?
2020, not high distinction, but Masters of Journalism.
Yeah, I'll give her that.
A lot has changed, hasn't it?
A lot has changed. I feel like it is weird being back after so long in like the best way. There's so many memories that you forget about.
Like the first time I ever had Indian food.
Here? Wow. Was it good?
It was great. I had that every Fridays before class. Stunning. The first time I had kombucha, also here. Wow. Yeah, it was great.
So what has changed for you since you've come here?
Honestly, I got lost coming here. I feel like the building itself, like this, I generally recognize it. What is Blue Chip?
I know. Blue Chip is huge.
Why is it here? It used to be a pizza place.
Yes, it used to be Pyre Squared. And now it's like a beautiful giant Blue Chip. If I was a student now, I would be studying here all the time, for sure.
Yeah, and also an RBC, that was kind of under construction when I was here. Is there going to be a bank? We don't know. And now here is a bank.
We're at the Alumni Centre at UBC.
Do you know who Robert H. Lee is?
He's a distinguished alumnus, from what I've understand. I feel like he has ties to UBC Sauder as well. We're at his center.
Yeah. Guess how old?
The center? Give me a range.
It's less than 20.
15.
It's higher than 5.
15 years.
It's lower than 15.
So 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
So fun fact, before I started as a student, I had my first ever UBC orientation here, and it was quite a party. I was at this center, but we had guides basically take us all around campus, and I remember being like, my God, this place is so cool. This is a new chapter. And then they had sort of a mixer thing upstairs for UBC Arts. I got to meet other people and it felt like very much the beginning of a new chapter. And you're young and you're starting your undergrad and yeah, so much life happened after. So should we go in?
I want to find the photos of us.
Okay, let's go. Let's find it. Do you want to go to the board?
Wait, what is this the thing that you can touch?
Yeah, you can search your name here.
Okay, during COVID, we didn't have a ceremony. And I think our ceremony included this thingamabobber. So what are you doing?
So there is a screen in front of us. We're in the Alumni Centre right now. And essentially every single person who's attended UBC, every single alumni live in this database.
Oh, wow. This is so high tech.
Okay. Should we find you?
She's never going to find me. And that is because when I attended UBC, my name that I used as my first name was not Carol.
Okay, so name reveal. I want to know.
I mean, you had it. You just had to delete the first part.
Oh, it was Eugene? Wow, you learn something new every day. So was it just Eugene Park?
Yeah. Oh, wait, this is cool.
By the numbers timeline. We're seeing a historical timeline of UBC. It's on this interactive screen. Point Grey campus opened in 1925.
Charles Darwin was here.
That's really cool. So Museum of Anthropology opened in 1976.
The Aquatic Center opened in 78.
Wow, much earlier than I thought.
Rick Hansen, he went here? Kim Campbell, hey girlie. Do you know who that is?
Of course.
Okay, just double checking.
I'm not that much younger than you. Okanagan campus was opened in 2005. It's quite new.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, well, this is like a really cool thing. So if you're back at campus and you're a UBC alumni, definitely search yourself up. It is like a nice feeling of like pride, homecoming back. Love it. I've had enough of this. Another element of the Alumni Centre is the lovely Loaf Café. I have come here before when I was a student. They have like really good food, good coffee.
Should we ask some people some questions? Hi, so sorry. We're from the Alumni UBC podcast, and we're just interviewing people to see if they're students or alumni. Are you either? Why don't you introduce yourself? What's your name, and when did you graduate?
My name's Michelle. I graduated twice. I graduated my Bachelor of Science in 2020 and then my MD this past summer.
Congratulations! Wow. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So you had a virtual ceremony.
I did. And then I had a real ceremony.
Wow, what was that like?
The virtual ceremony was not bad. It was pretty peak COVID. And so I was like, kind of expected it. I did it like at home. I was living in Whistler, so it was fun. And then the real ceremony was really nice. We had a couple graduations with the faculty and then with UBC. So it was nice to have an in-person one too.
For sure, yeah. Is this your first time being in the Alumni Centre?
No. I like to study at Loaf, but I don't really use much of the other parts of the Alumni Centre.
We are doing a walking tour of campus. And as alumni, do you have a favorite spot?
Okay, I really like the Rose Gardens, but like I'm sure that's just like a classic, but I love to go there and read or like eat my lunch. I haven't been to the Natobi Gardens yet, but I really want to go. I heard it's really lovely, and I've been here for 8 years and I haven't gone, so that's like next stop.
We're going to the Rose Garden because of a lovely recommendation from a lovely UBC alumna.
Did you go there all often?
I went there so often. So I was a commuter student for 3/4 of my UBC journey, and I used to park at Rose Garden. And also I was an art student, so a lot of art students had classes in Buchanan, which was right next door. So it was just like a convenient place to park, and it's a really pretty place to chill. Beautiful, beautiful view.
Isn't that where they sell apples in the fall?
I don't know what you're talking about. UBC Farm? Farm is like on the other side. When I did live on campus, I was just off campus by, you know, where McDonald's is and stuff. Had an apartment there. I would go, I think it was Saturdays, they had like a farmer's market at UBC Farm, and they had just like so much beautiful, like affordable produce that was delicious. And like there would be small vendors, but it was just like really cool, unique. Like I'm sure it's still open. I think it was Saturday or Sunday mornings. And then they do once a week have a smaller pop-up. We were here at the Rose Garden, and is this a place that you often went to?
Well, no, it wasn't. I think I entered the space once, and that was enough for me.
Oh, okay. I spent, as I mentioned before, so much time here. And I remember if I got here like a little early before class, I would just kind of zone out and look at the view and be like, whoa, this is a cool place to go to school, to be very honest. And also because the anthropology and sociology building is just across the road. So I often would walk over, hang out there, take a bunch of I was a sociology major, so a lot of soci classes were out there.
Where did you park?
In the Rose Garden, so it's actually below us.
Oh, she's multifunctional.
She really is, yeah. And the law library was a good place to study. It's often quiet, so I would go there. Past the Chan Center, which is on our right, there is, I think at the Royal Theatre, and I took Intro to Cult Film.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, and it's like a really nice, proper theater. It was like a cool experience. I felt, look at the roses. Oh my God, I love this.
There are many roses. Dime a dozen.
I feel like we need to smell the flowers.
You can. I didn't take my allergy pills today.
It's so nice.
Yeah, but it is lovely. Do you know anything about the other flowers here?
I think they're all mostly roses. They're just like variations of roses. But look at this one. You see how it's like iridescent almost?
Yeah. Wait, am I mixing it up with tulips?
What part of it?
Because these don't look like roses. See, tulips and roses, I always get them mixed up.
They're like really fragrant. Yeah. I was telling Carol, sometimes I would come here in the summer and literally smell the flowers. Like it was just so nice.
You literally touched grass.
This was how I regulated from exam season. Wow. Like very stressful exams and papers.
That's actually nice. I feel like this is one of the factors that makes UBC really cool is like there are ways that you can regulate your nervous system after writing a horrible exam. Touch grass, smell flowers, and you're chilling.
Look at the view. It's like built into the campus, which is really very cool.
It's really nice. It's like a mental health focused campus.
Love it.
Okay, I just don't think these are roses.
Carol, like, actually don't piss me off.
And as we mentioned, we also sat down with the co-directors of UBC Campus and Community Planning.
Turns out there's a lot that goes into building a campus as sophisticated as UBC's. And even as students, we sometimes forget that there are real people behind every decision that shapes how the UBC campus looks and feels.
For Joanne and Matthew, that means their team covers a lot of bases, from neighborhood planning and urban design to building climate action plans and engaging with the community to ensure the needs of residents are being met.
And campus is still growing. Their team is currently executing the Vision 2050 plan, which maps out how the campus will change over the next 25 years. It was a really great chat, so let's jump in.
My name's Matthew Roddis. I'm the co-director of planning design, campus, and community planning.
And I am Joanne Proft, co-director with Matthew, and my focus is on community planning.
Amazing. And can you, for those who are maybe not familiar, can you tell us a bit about the work that UBC Campus and Community Planning?
So campus and community planning, we like to say that we really help shape campus that supports, first and foremost, the academic mission, and on the other hand, the evolution of the campus as a sustainable community. And we're kind of similar to a municipal planning department. We sort of a quasi municipality. And so this includes developing long range land use plans for the campus, neighborhood plans. We do urban design. We plan the public realm. We also have engineers on our team for things like transportation, road design, rainwater management. We also develop operational sustainability plans. We have a really ambitious climate action plan for the academic campus as well as our neighborhoods. And we also have a development review and regulation department that oversees the approval of plans, building plans for the campus and the neighborhoods, as well as making sure that buildings and other spaces are compliant. We have a community development and engagement group that we work very closely with, making sure that there is a lot of input and engagement on all our planning. And we partner with the University Neighborhoods Association to make sure that the needs of the residents are met. And then finally, we work with province and other jurisdictions like Metro Vancouver and City of Vancouver and Musqueam and others on areas of shared interest. We have a number of roads that we share jurisdiction with the province on. And I should mention rapid transit. We're partnering very closely with the province and others on that. And other things like environmental protection. We're in a very sort of sensitive area at the end of the peninsula. So we have concerns around making sure that we're good neighbors and we're being mindful about things like cliff erosion and the forests and the beaches and so on. So that's kind of a snapshot of the kind of things we do.
So just to start off a little more light, what are some milestones within community planning and design that you two are respectively very proud of?
There was a really significant change in the public realm on campus, probably over the last 10 years. And depending on when your listeners were here, I think if they were to visit the campus now, they would see a really marked difference in that. So for instance, Mate Mall was really transformed from a street with cars on it to a pedestrian thoroughfare. And I think that really signifies a commitment to making good space for the community here. And so I think that's been, a really obvious change to the campus over the last number of years. Maybe just one more is I think there's, with the increase in student housing on campus, I think there's a much more alive kind of campus where there's a lot more vibrancy than perhaps in years past, with students being on campus more so than they have been in the past. And I think that just brings with it a certain level of activity that I think is really different from years past.
Yeah, and I just adding to that, I think, Campus Vision 2050, which we're going to talk about later in the conversation, and that was really building on past plans, significant past plans. The 2010 campus plan really was pivotal in terms of calling for and setting up the conditions for a more vibrant campus, as Matthew was saying, a 24/7 campus, so that there's more people living on campus. In the late 80s, there was this institutional move to develop our neighborhood lands so that it's not just student housing that we're providing, it's also neighborhood housing. And so bringing a population of residents that includes students, faculty, and staff in those neighborhoods, but also residents that have no affiliation with UBC. And so this transformation into this kind of mini city, a mixed use city. And so it's really exciting transformation, and seeing like the parking lots in mid-campus, lot A, B, C, D. I remember when they were there when I went to school. They're now Hawthorne neighborhood and the athletics fields. So that's been a really exciting transformation, I think, for me.
And one exciting anniversary that's coming up is for the Robert H. Lee Alumni Center, of course. Can you speak to us a bit about, one, how that space might have changed since its first development, but two, its significance as a hub on campus as well?
Sure. Maybe I can start. I think where it's located has seen a tremendous amount of change over the years. You look at it today and it feels like the main street of a great little city. It's got shops, stores, and it's got restaurants, as well as housing above. And I think it really represents kind of this transformation on campus. I think the Alumni Centre is really pivotal in its location. It's really adjacent to a prime public gathering space on campus. And if you were to come here in September, when all the back to school events and activities are happening, you see just how much that space is used. And it's really the place where I think is the nexus of where students sort of come together and meet. And I think over the years, that facility has become well used and it provides the functions within it, some meeting spaces, as well as ground floor amenities with the coffee shop sort of at the corner.
Yeah, and I remember the early plans sort of saw it and positioned it as a bit of a beacon, a lantern, which is reflected in it's fully glazed, right? And so it's all lit at night, and it really provides that kind of a landmark and a gathering place, someplace that is seen as very open and welcoming and transparent. I think those were some of the drivers behind the design, wanting to be this welcoming neutral space, or space that it's not strictly for a specific academic use. It does have a variety of uses. It's where the Board of Governors meets when it convenes 5 or 6 times a year. So there's some formal functions. There's some symbolic functions. It also has some really interesting technology that allows alum to come and touch the screen and see their degree and others on a screen, and quite a cool space. And there's also some design elements that reflect Musqueam. There's columns that have the Musqueam crest embossed on them, along with the UBC crest, as well as the Musqueam history. So it's also representative of an evolving relationship with Musqueam.
Jeevan and I were there. We were playing around with the wall and we were like, this is so weird. It was really cool that we could it was just like a tangible experience that I had never had in other academic spaces. That was a really cool touch. Because you spoke about Campus Vision 2050, there are 6 main pillars of that plan. Could you pick one of your favorite ideas or pillars, or ones that you think are really important to you individually, and speak on what they are?
Restorative and resilient landscapes is one that I think is something very transformative potentially for the campus. It's really about connecting with the surrounding forest and water, bringing the forest into the campus, connecting the green spaces across the campus to support human well-being, but obviously ecological well-being. UBC is actually the regional flyway for bird migration, and there's a lot of biodiversity mostly surrounding the campus. A lot of the campus is what we call brownfield. It's not a virgin landscape, so it was clear-cut and developed and redeveloped. What we're trying to do is really bring back some of the biodiversity and ecosystem health through bringing the forest in, doing different types of landscapes, bringing in native and traditional Musqueam plantings into spaces. We've got some pilot projects for meadows. Not sure if you've seen those, but it's introducing a new type of landscape ecology that is more sustainable. It may look different. We're really piloting that now because it sort of has ebbs and flows in terms of how it looks. It's beautiful, and then it's dormant. And so I think we want to understand that dynamic and incorporating it into the campus, into the more formal landscapes, because we know that some of the landscapes do need to have lawn, do need to sort of have more formality. But anyway, that's one of my favorites. And then I guess a second one is more housing. I think it's called More Housing and Expanded Affordability for UBC. And so this is really addressing one of the critical needs on campus, but throughout the region, and continuing how we deliver on housing for students, as well as building our neighborhoods. And there's this symbiotic relationship between them both, because land development model allows us to develop neighborhood housing. We have different types. We have rental housing, but we also have leasehold housing, where it's like selling condos on a 99-year lease. And the financial proceeds from that support the academic endowment. So it's there in perpetuity to support whatever the Board of Governors thinks is important. And right now, one of the priorities is financing student housing, which is a big need. It's also getting increasingly expensive.
And probably no surprise to Joanne, I think the one that resonates with me is the community of communities.
I knew it.
Did you? We work too closely together. This one, I think, speaks to me because we're a big campus. Geographically, we hear about sometimes it's hard to walk from one class to another, or the time it takes, or some parts of the community, they just sort of keep to one area because that's where their classes might be. And so they don't necessarily experience the whole campus or what it has to offer. So I think this really sets out some ideas around creating complete communities and identifying different nodes and hubs and spaces on campus that offer some unique either functions or services or experiences. And so it really is around trying to break down the scale, say making the big small, and really sort of making it digestible so that people can move around. In the 2010 plan, we started establishing the mixed-use hubs, which were really these housing hubs where a significant amount of student beds were located. But with those came other amenities, be it food services or other functions that really made them sort of these unique hubs across campus. And so this really builds on that and tries to say, okay, what did we learn and what have we learned in those? And how can we start to apply it to other parts of the campus? And I think that really for me is, I think, an important part of making sure people can find their way around the campus and feel that they can access different types of functions, but also at different times of the day where, as Joanne said, we're a 24/7 campus now. And I think with that comes needs that perhaps weren't so apparent 15 years ago when it wasn't the same kind of campus back then.
I had some family in town not that long ago. I took them to campus to show them around. It's just such a beautiful place to show people. And one thing that folks often remark is like, oh my gosh, this is like a city of its own. I mean, to your point, thinking through all these different elements of student life, I'm curious about what else is unique about planning a university campus versus a small town or a small city.
There's a number of similarities, of course, the need for places and spaces, the need for housing, amenities, transit, all at a scale of a campus. But I think some of the key differences around planning a university, one is there's a single landowner, essentially, which allows, I think, a lot more flexibility and creativity than a typical city does. I think just looking at how the campus has grown and where priorities are set, I think it just gives a really great amount of flexibility and ability to prioritize things like housing. I think also the needs are unique to an academic institution. So there's both residents and students different times here and with different interests. So our population really changes. We've got students which may be here 4 years, 6 years, longer perhaps. And then you've got faculty which are here a particular amount of time, as well as other residents. And so there's quite a mix of people. We have a daytime population of over 80,000 now. And so with that comes a lot of different interests and uses. So trying to accommodate those, I think, is really unique in this setting.
We're a single landowner, or actually we call ourselves, we're the landowner, the developer, and the regulator. So it's kind of a closed loop. So it does give us quite a lot of flexibility and autonomy. But then on the other hand, there is this tension as our neighborhoods grow and the population increases. There is that tension around democratically elected officials that represent the needs of those living here. And so we really are trying to put in place tools and approaches, systems, so those needs are reflected. We work very closely with University Neighborhoods Association. So that's an association that was set up to really do that and reflect the needs of the neighborhoods and do just operational stuff, maintain areas of the public realm and the community center and things like that. Yeah.
If we're talking about cities, sometimes things take a lot longer than they are told to the public of being finished. But as you said, you guys wear a lot of hats. What is that typical timeline of when a building is identified as being a priority to be completed or renovated and then occupied, like on average terms, if you can speak on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. As you can imagine, it varies depending on the complexity of the program. So for instance, we have some of our academic buildings, which are complex labs, for instance, that require a lot of special knowledge and experience in order to deliver those. And then we also have buildings that don't have labs and are much simpler to develop. But generally, I'd say most academic projects probably take around 4 to 5 years between the initial work and occupancy. We also work on student housing and support faculty and staff housing in the neighborhoods. And that's probably slightly faster, around 3 to 4 years from when those are initially identified to when the doors open. As you can also imagine, it's not just Joanne and I. There's so many people involved. We've got deans and faculty heads that begin the process and begin the hard work of getting funding and understanding the program. We've got colleagues in facilities which help to shape the academic program and understand what the needs are. We've got our colleagues at UBC Properties Trust who work to bring all those new academic projects forward, and project services who really spearhead the renovations on campus. And of course, kind of wrapped up within all of that is the direction and leadership of the boards. There's a lot of people. And then just to reinforce what Joanne said, it's great to be part of that because it's very nimble, even though there's a lot of people involved. And I think what underscores it is everyone has the same objective here. And that's refreshing. It doesn't happen everywhere. And so I think that really shows up and plays out in what you see around campus.
Same objective, but also different interests. And I think that's something that our role, the planning department, is to try to balance interests and get the best outcome for the university.
Just to kind of wrap up with a little light question. Some people will be haters, some people will be lovers, but generally, when alumni visit campus, what's kind of the reaction that you guys hope that they will have?
I hope they're lovers and not haters. I hope they're just excited about where the campus is going. To see increased vibrancy and activity as they look around, so many more students living here. Within, I guess, all of that, still recognize the place where core memories were formed. That, in a sense, was always their home. It's still something that they recognize and feel part of.
Carol and I visited and walked through campus, and it has changed so much, even in such a short amount of time. But it still feels like UBC, which is really nice.
I can speak from experience because I am an alumni, and I graduated in 2000, around there. And I hadn't been back to campus really until I started working here, which was in 2014. I hope that people have the same sort of impression as I did. Most of the public realm transformation, Main Mall had been redone, and a lot of the courtyards, a lot of the commons like Fairview Commons and the Buchanan courtyards, where there was just a lot of thought put into these outdoor spaces that were kind of neglected before, right? Like when I was at campus, Main Mall was a road. It was actually used for operational vehicles. I think even general purpose traffic could use it sometimes. Water feature in front of the bookstore. That used to be a parking lot. I remember parking there. There were metered stalls there. In the summer, they have a stand out where they sell produce from our UBC farm. And the other day, I picked up the biggest head of lettuce, and it was just fantastic. And they've got zucchinis and beans and garlic. And so that's something that I don't think existed 10 years ago. We say moving from a commuter campus to a real, like this mixed use city. And so the reduction of parking, I think that was a huge transformation. Yeah. Maybe on the downside, some may think, oh, you just keep growing and when is it going to stop? And we do hear that. And so really trying to thoughtfully grow the campus and add people while still maintaining that sense of campus and a city in this really park-like setting. Because I think that's something that's really special about UBC.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time and your expertise. This was really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You know, it's not every day you get to fly out to Vancouver and spend a few hours walking through your alma mater with your long-distance co-host. I was going to say lover, but that was not appropriate. I wish we could record in person all the time.
Oh, wait, that touched my heart. Carol being emotionally vulnerable on the record? Never thought I'd see the day.
Don't get too used to it. It's the first and last.
A girl can dream. We've included a link to an interactive map with all of the new buildings and public art installations in our show notes.
Until October, happy homecoming, everyone. Make sure you catch our next episode by subscribing or following our show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling your feels, please drop us a review. You can find me on Blue Sky at Carol Eugene
and me on X at Jeevan K. Sangha. From Here Forward is an alumni UBC podcast produced by Podium Podcast Company.